go. Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing on Talk 910, the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm proud to have as my co-host Mark Hahn from Pacific Private Money, California's fastest-growing mortgage investment firm, and Patti Cohn of Pacific Union Realty. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right. We're giving away how many? 9 vacations during this show. And the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. The vacations are free. Their only request is a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Check them out at their website, lighthouseresortandmarina.com. If you want to call them by phone, it's 916-777-5511. And for all of you baseball fans out there, today's trivia theme is baseball. This week in baseball. Remember Mel Allen? And then here it is. Trivia is baseball. Who did he beat out? And you'll understand when I get into the question. All right. Check us out on our website, bestofinvesting.com, Facebook, YouTube, all that kind of fun stuff. Patti, you want to give us an update on what's going on with Napa since earthquake time?
Since the earthquake, yeah.
Well, I own a house in Old Town Napa too.
There you go.
And
wow.
Yeah, and they're really banding together. And I talked to Karen Chernis of our Pacific Union Napa office, and here's her quote. She said, "It did not seem to deter buyers, as many have gone into contract over the past week, some with multiple offers."
Wow.
Interesting. Most lenders are requiring inspections or reappraisals on homes that were in contract prior to the earthquake.
But they're not requiring earthquake insurance, though.
No, they're not.
Okay.
And yet they really can't.
Really? Okay.
I don't think they can.
Is it an affordability issue or availability issue? What's the issue?
Well, earthquake insurance, the deductible's usually like $10,000.
Yeah.
So most people don't have it. I don't have it in my place up there, or any of my properties. Anyway, buyers who had removed contingencies and they're in contract, they were allowed a reinspection period and could back out of the sale of damaged properties without losing their deposit.
That's fair.
That is
That's
fair. If they were looking for an out and it wasn't damaged, they couldn't back out.
Ah, okay.
And
There's
seller.
a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Exactly. Because
Yes,
some of the
there
damage
was.
you're
No,
not
there
seeing.
wasn't.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
that's you know what? That's one of those things you look at and you go, you know what? That's actually fair to do that, because you buy a house and something, oops, it got earthquake damage while you're waiting to close escrow. It's like
Exactly.
Of course, that's not really fair to the seller either,
yeah,
but
it's life.
it's an act of God, they say.
That's right. But some sellers have taken off their property off the market. They were a little concerned. Some had to kind of get their place back. In my place, for instance, the tenants lost some personal property and lots of glass. None of it was really that bad. We did better than most. But the bottom line, sales are still brisk and listings are still happening, and they are predicting a really strong September and October.
Wow, okay. I find it interesting, too, with tenants, how a lot of times something will get broken. The first thing they'll do is they will contact the landlord, basically say, you owe me, be it a leaky roof, my bed gets wet or something. It's like, did you forget about renter's insurance?
Exactly.
That's why you get your own insurance.
Exactly.
The landlord's not going to have to babysit you for everything.
So Patti, you're expecting a really good September and October. Is that unusual in the real estate market?
Well, that's our second selling season, we call it, which is usually a good 45 days beginning like the week after Labor Day until maybe mid-October. It's not as strong as the first selling season, but we had a unpredictably slow summer, and everybody's trying to figure out what that's about. But
yeah, we have to say, why is that?
I think we've had such rapid appreciation for 2 years.
Enough.
People are kind of taking a step back. Again, we're back to, is there a bubble? What's happening next? But no, I mean, already it's started to pick up, and today's been amazing. All the calls I'm getting about selling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any haunted houses coming around Halloween?
Yeah.
That you actually have to disclose, don't you?
Yeah, if somebody died in it or ghosts are in the house. Yeah.
So listings are up. That's great news. What's the prognostications for the balance of the year, and maybe now that we're approaching the fourth quarter, what's it look like? Any predictions for 2015, or is it just kind of all over the board?
Well, I think we're just going to have a normal, strong market. Not rapid appreciation of 10, 15, 20 like we've had the last couple of years. which is great.
That's good.
We need to get it to a normal market. It's still, and especially in Marin County and Atherton and Silicon Valley, it's the city too.
Yeah.
Things have slowed down everywhere, but on a relative basis, on a scale of 1 to 10, we're at an 8.5.
It's almost like the Great Recession never happened.
So if you are thinking about listing your home, you would not dissuade someone from listing it now, as opposed to, I hear a lot, I'm going to wait till spring and put it back on the market type of thing if they didn't get a sale this summer. So what do you think about pulling it off the market now, or do you think that the next 45 days is a good opportunity to sell?
Well, that's a great question, and it's always the question, when should I do this?
Yeah.
And if you look at supply and demand curves, they are, with buyers and sellers, they are about even all times of the year. So, yeah, I mean, let's go out in spring, because that's when everybody's out. Well, so is all the sellers.
It's pretty similar to when somebody asks about filing their tax return. They say, yeah, maybe I should file on April 15th, because then I'll get kind of lost in the shuffle with regard to being audited. Yeah, but that's also the time when the biggest pool where the IRS says, okay, we're going to take a whole bunch of these people. So if you file, August 4th, you say, yeah, I'm not going to, they're less likely to get audited, but, there's less people filing then, so it's relatively the same kind of.
Exactly. And really, though, it also, the second part of the answer is, it depends on your property and it depends on your price range.
Point, yeah.
If you've got an untraditional house, sell it at an untraditional time, because that's when untraditional buyers are buying.
Good point. Good point.
How do you see this year tracking 2014 compared to last year, Patti?
Prices are still up. The number of sales are down a little bit. And prices are just not up as much as they were last year, which again is great.
Well, we had, depending on your market, prices were up as high as 25%, maybe even 30% in some markets year over year for 13 to 14. So that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, I think. So the market's settling down into some kind of normal appreciation, I think, is really what we're all looking for in a healthy real estate market. In fact, I would love it if we were just adding normal, 4 to 6% appreciation on an annual basis. I think that would be a very healthy, sustainable real estate market.
Right. Can I add one thing, though?
Sure, go ahead.
It's not yet a normal market. I provide the numbers and stats to the local paper, and we are still at, with condos, on average, 1% over asking, and 99-point-some% on single-family homes of list price to asking. So it's a powerful market.
Very good. Tell you what, we're going to cut to a first commercial break, and before we do that, now when I go like this, what do you think? What does that sound like?
Josh.
Shock. Yes.
Yeah,
okay, so the reason I'm saying that is because San Jose Sharks hockey is coming to town. Don't miss your chance to experience NHL hockey when the Sharks battle the Canucks in preseason action on September 23rd, live at Stockton Arena. Get your tickets now at the Stockton Arena box office or at all Ticketmaster outlets. Stockton is Sharks territory. I didn't even realize Stockton was Sharks territory. I always figured San Jose, but they got something in Stockton. Okay, so here's our first trivia question. And again, the theme is baseball. Who did he beat out? We're going to go. I think personally these are a little easy, but that's okay. Pete Rose became the all-time hits record. Pete Rose became the all-time hit record leader in the 1980s. Whose record did he beat? Okay, so who had the all-time hits record prior to Pete Rose? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Email, don't email anybody. Just call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Pete Rose became the all-time hits leader record in the 1980s. Whose record did he beat? All right, that's the question. And don't touch that dial because the best of investing will return.
I used to know that answer because I lived in Philly. Right then.
I don't know the answer.
You had a hit record.
Is that the one I put down there?
That was on the board.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, this is funny.
You're funny.
Thank you so much.
Right?
Right. How was your movie premiere?
Oh, it was great. Thank you. Thanks
Aw.
for asking. It was packed.
Good.
It
Really?
was.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was the biggest crowd they had. It was good.
Wow. I really wanted to go. I had something happening that
Oh,
night.
thank Thank you.
really had it on my calendar.
Yeah, and had a surprise guest, Pam Cook from Channel 2. She's the anchor woman.
Oh,
Channel 2.
she is, yeah.
She came with her 2 daughters. And that really makes it fun. And then I had some other people that surprised me that came that won a lot of awards and movies. And one, I always bring an extra one. One would not play, so I just played the one where the producer and director was sitting in the audience and played his movie.
Nice.
And so then he could talk about it. That was fun.
It was good. They
for asking.
were actually very enjoyable. Yeah, even I went. Ready? Get, there you go. Welcome back to the best of investing. Of course, on the sports show, Vern likes to tell me, "Don't say that. Just say we're still here." You know. Anyway, okay.
We didn't go away.
I'm your host, Edward Brown, and along with my co-hosts, Mark Hoff and Patti Cohen. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question in baseball: who did he beat out? Pete Rose became the all-time hits record leader in the 1980s. Whose record did he beat? So, who had the all-time hits record prior to Pete Rose? Answer: Tyrus Raymond Cobb.
What's
Oh.
Ty Cobb?
Yeah.
Jeez, I was going to say Ty Cobb. I should have just gone with my gut.
And not Tyrone, but Tyrus.
Tyrus.
We go with just Ty Cobb is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, just really quickly now, guess what?
Guess what?
Oh, today I can't talk.
Another special contest?
Another special contest.
Yes.
Yes, next week we're having another special contest where the winner's going to receive a 2-night stay at the beautiful Hyatt Regency Santa Clara. So, located steps from the new Levi Stadium, the Hyatt Regency Santa Clara has over 60,000 square feet of meeting and reception space. In addition to over 500 luxurious guest rooms, the Hyatt Regency Santa Clara features a variety of food and beverage outlets nestled conveniently in the high-tech capital near Great American Theme Park, Shoreline Amphitheater, HP Pavilion, and Stanford University. The hotel offers 1 gigabyte internet connection. For more information, visit santaclara.hyatt.com or call 408-200-1234. So that will be next week. We'll have a special trivia question for that. Okay, so before we get to our famous emails for our co-hosts here, I want to talk a little bit about Detroit, their bankruptcy. I read a little article that said that creditors could possibly get 75 cents on the dollar compared to 10 cents on the dollar if they were allowed to sell the art that is in the museums in Detroit.
Are you kidding?
So here's the
Wow.
kind of the interesting question. You know, do you take the culture out of the city by letting them sell all what? And I don't even know what kind of art they have them gathering. You know, it's probably famous sculptures and other paintings and stuff to satisfy the creditors.
Ah.
I mean, in theory, if it's owned by the city and the city owns the money, then in theory, you should be able to sell it and.
Well,
They
if you're
pay
a
off your
creditor,
debts.
you're probably saying sell.
I know, and that's a big difference. 75 cents on the dollar compared to 10 cents on the dollar.
Huge.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm a creditor, I don't want to get 10 cents on the dollar. You know, just give me that Mona Lisa. Oh
Yeah.
no, that's in the Louvre. All right. So anyway, that's just something to ponder there. Okay, so a couple of emails. Interesting here. Mark, one comes in here. It says, "Do you ever do a loan where you don't get title insurance?" You have to explain that. To
So for new listeners, my name is Mark Hoff. I'm a broker and president of Pacific Private Money. We are real estate lenders, non-bank real estate lenders. So we make loans to individuals, real estate investors, contractors, rehabbers, basically people that are unable to get financing from a bank. There really is, though, for all practical purposes, though, there's no real difference between a loan that we make and a loan that a bank makes, with a couple of exceptions. One being the interest rate we charge is higher because we're using private capital as opposed to the free bank.
The free money,
Yeah,
yeah,
free money
the
the
bank
government
gets,
prints for
yeah.
banks. And then number two, the fees we charge are generally higher too. But that's on the not so great side. On the great side, we're very easy to get a loan from, and we're very quick. And so and there's a lot of demand for quick and or easy capital in the Bay Area here. And we serve the Bay Area community. We make loans locally. We're based here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we love making loans to flippers, rehabbers, contractors, and now even consumers. We started making consumer loans in 2014 to people who were in contract to buy a home, and for whatever reason their bank either is not able to close on time or can't close at all. So we call that product a consumer bridge loan, where we'll come in last minute oftentimes. In fact, I got a call this week again from a mortgage broker who said, can you close a client by Friday? And so that's awfully quick for us, especially in a short week.
Don't you just love
But
that?
we did it.
Good.
So, and we charge for that, that emergency fund, and we helped a person buy a lovely home in the gated community of Fairfield and save their deposit from losing their deposit. So again, there's a lot of times where you would resort to a private money real estate loan, which has been called a hard money. Same thing, hard money, private money real estate loan. And a lot of them are for reasons you might not think. Obviously for a contractor or a flipper who oftentimes doesn't qualify for bank financing because they don't either have the financial statement or provable income because they're self-employed. Sometimes it's because they have dinged credit. These are all various reasons why people aren't getting bank financing today. But another one is just because with all the new Dodd-Frank regulations, they've actually made getting a bank loan a lot harder in 2014, 10 times harder than it was in 2005. I mean, my gosh, it's just the pendulum has swung completely the opposite direction. And now it's harder than it should be to get a bank loan, where in 2005 it was easier than it should have been to get a bank loan. So unfortunately, that's kind of the nature of the way government or things tend to work when government meddles. So that's a little background into what I do. And so at Pacific Private Money, we've made over 750 loans since 2008 to using private capital. So the question was, do you ever make a loan and without getting title insurance? And the answer to that, the quick answer is no. We never make a loan without title insurance. More specifically, we never make a loan without getting a lender's policy of title insurance. There's actually two types of title insurance when you buy a home. If you buy a home all cash, you're normally still going to buy title insurance because it's an insurance policy that basically ensures that the seller
Really owns a house.
really owned the house and has the right to convey it, and that you now own it and have the right to live there. That's a owner's policy. A lender's policy is a separate policy that's required by all banks and by pretty much even hard money lenders, and private lenders will require a lender's title policy, and that ensures ensures my investors, my private lenders, that the loan they made actually is in first lien position, and that they have a right to foreclose on that property if the borrower doesn't make payment. So the answer is we always require title insurance. We don't do any types of loan transactions without the whole transaction being handled by an independent escrow company. We don't typically handle the funds of our private lenders. Usually that money is wired directly from their account to the escrow company. So there's a lot of third-party safety and protective measures built into the way we conduct business. And so we think our loans in most cases are actually better and safer than a lot of bank financing because we usually don't go over 70% loan to value on our loans, where bank financing regularly goes to 80%.
And it's unfortunate you can't just trust sellers. Then
No.
they say, sure, I own this free and clear. There's no debt on there.
Right. You can buy and sell real estate on a handshake if you want. It's just not recommended.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Tell you what, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have a very interesting email for Patti that discusses about waiting or not waiting in lowering the price on a listing should it not sell quick enough. Okay, so here's our second commercial trivia question. Again, the theme is baseball. Who did he beat out? Joe DiMaggio won the MVP in 1941 by hitting in 56 consecutive games. Who did he beat out for the MVP, who had an incredible batting average that year? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In 1941, Joe DiMaggio won the MVP by hitting in 56 consecutive games. Who did he beat out for the MVP that year, who had an incredible batting average? All right? And when we return, this interesting email for Patti. So stay tuned, listeners, to The Best of Investing.
Excellent.
And after your email, what do you want to get into?
I thought we could talk a little bit about, there was a headline article in the business section of both the Marin IJ and the Chronicle this past weekend was about flipping.
Okay.
And I just find it interesting because usually the reporters, when they write those articles, they don't really, I mean, they're just reporting and it's just news. And, they make certain statements and allegations about flippers and flipping in the marketplace, really without, knowing a lot about it. So I just thought we'll talk about it a little bit.
It's amazing how little they know, because I get interviewed a lot by the press and they just don't know.
Right, and then when they interview you, you explain something to them, and then they just take a short snippet of a sentence that's actually constructed from maybe 4 or 5 different sentences you told them, because you actually never said that one thing, and it may be actually not even to the point that you made.
Right. Right.
That's good.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Hey, I know you.
You do?
No, that's me.
Yeah.
I know me.
And you know you.
Well, welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Humph of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender, and Patti Cohen of Pacific Union Realty. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question about baseball. Who did he beat out? Joe DiMaggio in 1941 won the MVP by hitting in 56 consecutive games. Who did he beat out for the MVP, who had an incredible batting average that year?
Stop me again.
Here's a hint. He batted .406, the last hitter to bat over 400.
Ted Williams.
Ted Williams, that
Ooh,
is
good job.
correct. Mr. Kramer from behind the camera. Very good. Okay, Mark, you were going to, hold on. I'm sorry, you're going to get to Patti time. Are you seeing a bunch of articles that you're going to bring up?
Not party time.
Same thing.
Same thing, that's right. When you deal with Patti, you're dealing with a party. So, for Patti Cohen, in your opinion, how long should you wait for deciding to lower the price on a listing?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's very hard to determine. Honestly, anywhere from before you even put it on to 45 to 60 days. So the 45 to 60 days would be, over 3 million, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 million, where there's, it kind of depends on how broad or narrow the demand is for that particular property. But if you've got, say, a $5 million property and you don't get much action on it in a month, it's okay, or a week, that's okay. So again, and then the other side of it is, before it even comes on the market, I know when I do a little, put the temperature in the water on a new listing, if I don't get any feedback from my network of top agents, I'm like, we're off here somehow. I mean, if I don't have, in this market, if I don't have people beforehand going, can I get in before you put it on? Are you accepting offers before they go on? If I don't have that, I get a little nervous, believe it or not. So in that case, if we don't have offers within 5 or 6, 7 days, we're off on price. It's just as simple as that.
Wow.
And people say, well, it takes some time. Well, let's say it's $1.5 million property. Well, if it was priced at $1 million, would it go in a minute? Well, of course.
Well, it depends on how you market it. I mean, you have to blast it out to let everyone know, right? Maybe at the broker's open or just, if nobody knows, then.
Well, if true buyers are working with top agents in that marketplace.
Good point.
And when I whisper in the ears of those top agents that usually have buyers for that kind of problem and they're yawning, we've got a problem.
Yeah. So now when they say, we want to get in before, or are you taking offers ahead of time, they have walked the property and they just say, I know I've got. a
Sometimes
client.
they haven't even seen it. Sometimes I've got the coming soon sign up and they don't even know. But they know in that neighborhood they've been
Oh,
beat
yeah.
out 20 times
Yeah.
and they're ready to step up. And sometimes preemptive offers in that case are good.
You know, and when you get into the stratosphere of, you know, $8, $10, $20 million houses, who even knows what the right price
Exactly. Exactly. That's a different
is?
category.
Okay.
But I'm just talking about your bread
That's
and
Mark
butter.
Pump category.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Not yet.
Getting there, coming soon, yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're just talking about, you know, the couple trying to squeak in, here's the buyer profile. Young couple from the city, about to have kids or has a 3 and 4-year-old,
Yeah.
and they are just trying to get into Marin, get in the school district, and they have lost, and there's tears, literal
Yeah.
tears. They've lost properties over and over and over. They are going to be bird dogging those areas.
No, fair enough.
Or they're trying to get into the peninsula or whatever.
Look, tease Mark about, you know, that I said, if I had his money, I'd throw mine away, you know.
Patty, how often are you the one or the realtor deciding what to list the price at versus the owner of the property telling you, I want, you know, 1.5 million for this house. That's what I want.
Well, it's a good question. I mean, honestly, the more sophisticated the seller, the more apt they are to listen to the agent. The more sophisticated the seller, the more apt they are to hire an agent that is competent. So you often find brand new agents listing overpriced listings because the sellers are saying, this is what I want.
Well, I find it kind of amusing when you'll drive a neighborhood and you'll see a sign from a real estate company you've never heard of, and they're 4 states away.
Right.
And you're wondering, they have no clue.
Well, that's
At
usually
all.
someone related to the owner of the property, I would guess.
Yes.
Well, funny enough, we had my brother-in-law's wife, one time when she found out we were thinking of selling, and she lived in Virginia, and she was going, oh, I don't understand. Why didn't you list it with me? I said, well, are you going to come out here weekly and show the house? You know?
Okay. Right. They're going to move here,
Yeah.
really.
So there's a listing in Belvedere, and I only know about this because there was a loan application that came my way recently. And the house has got a great lot, great view, and it was originally listed at $28 million
That's a great fat price, too.
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years ago.
I remember it. Yeah.
It's been on the market. It's now down to $8 million,
Yeah.
and it still
Wow.
hasn't sold. So
What's wrong with it?
it's just really, you're probably familiar or
Yes, I
know
am.
which one I'm talking about. So it's interesting. I wonder how they came up with that original price. If that was just the seller saying, well, you know, the house right down the street just
Yeah.
sold for $25 million, so let's just see what happens. Who knows?
Yeah.
How many square feet is it?
I don't know. I don't have any of the
It's
details.
huge. I
I
forget.
mean, they were trying to do what, 10,000 a foot or something
Yeah.
ridiculous?
And it comes down to like how much is view work, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you're talking about, and sometimes the issue is that it's so shop worn, and it's a masterpiece could be perceived as a masterpiece if it's priced correctly, but a masterpiece that starts out in the stratosphere
Yeah.
is going to be just looked at as unworthy and undesirable.
Well, can you imagine if you were the person who put in an offer, let's say at $25 million,
Ah,
you know, and got the house, or if you put in $25 million and they said no, and they go, oh, we could have $25 million.
yeah, that happens often.
And that's, as you said earlier, Edward, that's just the crazy part of the market is, I think anything over 10 million, in Marin anyway. In some markets, be anything over 2, 3, or 4, or 5 million. But in that whole Tiburon marketplace, it's, when I hear people tell me. In fact, I did a loan application recently for someone who told me, "Oh, we're definitely going to get when we put it on the market, we're going to get something in the teens." So and so told me I would. And and I did a review of that market, and I ended up making the loan, but my internal valuation was closer to $8 million, and I would bet $1,000 that he doesn't get anywhere near 10 on that. Certainly not 13 or 14 that he thinks.
So you thought it was worth $8 million. How big was the loan you made?
I don't have the numbers from that.
Oh, okay.
It was a low enough LTV that it didn't
$3
matter.
million or something.
It was well below 50% loan
Yeah.
to value at $8 million, regardless of
Yeah.
his belief that it was going to be.
By the way, there's
sell
no
for
such
something.
word as irregardless.
That's true.
I teach
actually
them
know
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Apologize for that.
that's from the Department of the Redundancy Department.
Right. Irregardless.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Regardless.
But it just sounds like it should be a real word.
Yeah.
That's like the same thing. I think I've teased Kramer here. There's no such word as height. It's just height.
Exactly.
So there's your education in English today.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, I want to get into this article when we come back from break because it was kind of an interesting article about some dolphins. Flipper. Oh no!
I saw dolphins out at Stinson Beach over the weekend.
Did you really?
Nice.
How far out were you?
No, we were just at the beach. In fact, I've been about Stinson Beach the last 3 weekends in a row, boogie boarding with my 13-year-old daughter, and every weekend we go out there, we've seen dolphins, the
Really?
blackfin dolphins that swim back and forth, and seals from the beach.
Not sharks.
Not sharks, no.
I see. I'm all
Fortunately for
ready.
the
If I see a
surfers.
shark, I'm seriously. I got my fist pumped, and I'm going to start pounding on them. You know, I know the thing is they come up from underneath, so you got to kind of watch out about that. But mentally, I'm prepared
Oh my goodness.
because if you hit them hard, they don't want to be disturbed. You know, either.
The surf shops sell a shark repellent sticker, which is basically a picture of a zebra, and they say that studies have shown that the image of the zebra, the black and white, scares them away. I have no idea if it works or not, but you bet I got one on my boogie board.
Yeah. I thought it's the same thing with it's like they used to sell wetsuits because there was some kind of snake apparently that is the sharks don't like this certain snake that kind of like
Sharks and snakes in
the
the
coral
same
snake or
environment, huh? I don't know about that.
Yeah. I thought it was a sticker that just said, "Please don't eat me." Okay.
Not tasty.
Not tasty, exactly.
Try the other guy.
That's right. You know that joke about the guy. Two guys are in the woods, and they see a bear, and one guy starts running really quickly, and the other guy really quickly tells him, he goes, "You can't outrun a bear." He goes, "I don't have to outrun a bear. I just have to outrun you."
Exactly.
Okay, so we're going to cut to our third and final commercial break with that.
Happy thought.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a happy thought. Okay, again, the theme is trivia. Trivia theme is baseball. Who'd be beat out? Cal Ripken has the all-time consecutive games played record. Who previously had the record? So who'd he beat out? The first three callers with the question. You're shaking your head again?
You got me stumped on all of
Really?
these.
I thought these. I thought these were easy. Okay.
Football next time.
Okay, football next time. Who previously had that record? So the first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190. What's that number?
888-912-1190.
Very good. We're kind of in simpatico here. Okay, here's the question. Cal Ripken has the all-time consecutive games played record. Who previously had the record? So who did he beat out? All right? Don't touch that dial because the best of investing will be right back with our fourth and final segment. And Mark's got this interesting article about flippers.
Not dolphins.
Oh, that's right. Flipper.
Not flipper.
We'll figure out how much time we have. We're just cranking. We are cranking. What do you want to cover after that article?
Well, what was your article? You said you had something.
I already told you. It was a Detroit thing.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
It was just a short thing.
So we can talk about wherever the flipping conversation leads us.
We don't have much time.
I didn't have it because I've had back-to-back.
Oh, I think let's talk about deal of the week. Maybe you have a deal of the week too, where you got something you want to push. No? Okay.
I know that there's a lot of backlash with Trulia buying Zillow, but I don't know anything much more about it.
Okay.
Backlash.
That's something somebody's
Do you have any kind of interesting listings?
We can talk a little bit about that. I could ask you a question about where that topic goes is the reason why a Zillow would buy a Trulia, or is it the other way around? So
Zillow bought Trulia. But we didn't want to talk
The
about
reason
that.
why a Zillow would buy a Trulia is the idea that there's an opportunity to create a method for people to be able to more efficiently sell real estate or even sell real estate without a realtor. But given the nature of real estate transactions, how likely is that really? It's not. I mean, I'm all for efficiency of information. But
Even when a
in terms of
tenant
transactions-
buys the property. Yeah, let's go.
Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Edward Brown here, your host, along with Mark Hahn and Patti Cohen. When we cut to the third commercial break, we asked a trivia question about baseball. Who did he beat out? Cal Ripken has the all-time consecutive games played record. Who previously had that record?
Don't know.
Okay, so he was named the Iron Man. Who was the Iron Horse? Lou Gehrig.
Oh, nice.
Lou Gehrig. Okay. Mark, share that article about flippers.
Well, actually, it was two articles. So last weekend in both my local paper, the Marin Independent Journal, as well as the Bay Area's newspaper, the San Francisco Chronicle, there were articles about flipping. And, essentially the gist of both articles were, is there still money to be made in flipping? Is flipping basically, has it come and gone as an opportunity in real estate investment? And, when I read articles by people who are not real estate professionals, you have to take a lot of what they write about with a grain of salt. Although they did, interview various people in that business. First of all, whenever I see the term flipping, I can't help but think that it has a negative connotation attached to it, because really, these people who are real estate investors that are being called flippers, they're either contractors or rehabbers, and the term flipping, I think, has some leftover negative connotation from 2003, 4, and 5, where you literally would buy a home, do next to nothing to it, remarket it, and make a profit based on rapid appreciation. And now that has happened in the last several years. There were opportunities to buy foreclosure properties in 11 and even 12 and do very little to it, maybe just paint and carpet, turn around and sell it for a profit, and many, many people did. There was easy money being made in real estate flipping, if you want to call it that, in kind of the peak of the foreclosure activity. But in the last year or so, in most of 13 and 14, so-called flipping has really been people who were buying property that needed to be remodeled and made significant improvements to them, adding real value to a property that was in an established neighborhood, putting it back on the market and making a fair profit. And that is an activity that has been going on for decades.
Well, it helps everybody, right?
Yeah, it's not something that's new to this market. And so to recap, really, the easy money has been made in real estate. We have, in most neighborhoods in the Bay Area, we've bounced back to very close to, if not in some neighborhoods, over the peak in 2005. In many neighborhoods, there's still a ways to go. But the easy money's been made, and that's a good thing. Again, I don't believe in buying property, turning fast appreciation. Really, that's silly and foolish, and it's not a healthy market. But the rehabbers and contractors out there who are buying homes that might not have been remodeled in 20, 30, 40 years, or even since it was built, those people are creating new inventory, new turnkey property that's in demand by home buyers today. That has been and always will be a profitable enterprise. Now, it doesn't mean you can't lose money, because you can. You can buy improperly, you can over-improve, you can have a contractor or a subcontractor treat you poorly, to where you actually end up spending more money than you should remodeling a house. But the skilled people out there who know how to buy, who have a system in place for improving the property, have their costs in check, they are making a fair and adequate profit. They are not contributing to speculative frenzy that's nonsense. And they are actually the people who are really the unsung heroes, in my opinion, in the real estate industry today, and the real estate industry being one of the most important components to the economy in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Do you ever, Patti? Do you ever deal with flippers?
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing
There
too.
you go again, calling them flippers.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Rehabbers and contractors.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's still happening, and you're right, it's happening all the time. And it's not happening as much.
Yeah.
And I think another point to be made is the demand side of it. More than ever, the buyer today or the consumer today is making a lot of money, and they are consumed with their jobs, and they are on technology 12, 14 hours a day, and they will pay and can pay for a product that is done at the end of the day. So, so that's, yes, there's demand for it. A lot of people, it's like, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, they don't
then,
have the time for it, they don't have the wherewithal. They
yeah,
just wanna get
or
it.
the interest, and that's changed, that's the most significant thing that has changed in the last, on that side of it. And then the other side of it is, yes, there are people that, say flip properties or rehab properties and it improves the neighborhood and it's all great, but what's missing in the Bay Area, there's two ways you can do it, you can, do just cosmetics, or you can really add value by adding square footage or putting a master bedroom up. But for the most part in the Bay Area, and the most desirable parts of the Bay Area, we're maxed out with FAR, floor area ratio. So you can't even add that kind of square footage. And the other reason why it's not happening as much is that people are still licking their wounds from the last time. And had someone done it 2 years ago and was really brave, they would have done well, because the part of the equation, the biggest part of the equation in the whole game of rehabbing properties is not so much, yes, buying it right, but where is the market going? You can be an excellent contractor, you can get things done really cheap, you can do all the right things, but if the market goes down, you're lost.
Well, before I forget, we forgot to tell people how to get a hold of you if they wanted more questions.
Yeah, thank you so much.
yeah.
I've been doing this 25 years and I really have seen all sides of everything.
There's a reason why you're the #1 agent in Marin.
Thank you so much. I'm Patti Cohn, I'm with Pacific Union, and my number is 415-722-4842. Patti Cohn, and yeah, I mean, I just love this work. So anybody that calls and just wonders, even if they're not doing business, I'm happy to talk to anybody because I'm really passionate about it.
And what's your email if they want to just email to you?
Yeah, thank you. It's Patti, Patti, .Cohn, COHN, at pacunion.com.
Very easy. And Mark, we obviously wanted to get back to you to let people know if they wanted to.
Sure, for information on how to borrow from a private money resource, and you just want to know what if you have any kind of loan scenario at all, you want to know what the costs are, a phone call is free, obviously, no obligation. We're happy to share that information for you. So if you need a loan, or if you're someone with capital to invest and you've heard about trustee investing or mortgage pool funds, we pay our clients 8% and sometimes more on their savings and IRA accounts. So if you'd like information on either of those areas, please give us a call at Pacific Private Money. We can be found on the web at pacificprivatemoney.com or by phone, 415-883-2150, 415-883-2150.
And didn't you have a question you wanted to ask, Patty?
I did.
2 minutes.
Well, a comment in that, one of the problems or challenges with real estate market today is finding even a home that needs improvement, because the prices have gone up so far and so fast in some markets, that some of the challenges for contractors and rehabbers is finding a property that they can afford to pay that price. In other words, the market value has come up, that it's an opportunity for an end buyer to buy it, live in it, improve it themselves, and see equity growth, but there's not enough of a spread to be able to allow a contractor, say, to buy it at the price they're asking for it, make the improvements, sell it, and actually make a profit. That's the challenge today, is finding the opportunities.
Right. It's not a game for the weak. And basically what's happening in a rising market, which is when you should get in as a contractor, you can't get in because you're competing with the retail buyers who are bidding 10% over asking.
Right.
You can't compete with that. And then when the market's turning, it's like, oh my God, am I going to lose my shirt on this one or not? So it is not for the weak.
No, it's not. There are opportunities out there. You're typically not going to find them on the multiple listing service. You're typically going to find those by looking for people who have some form of distress, and that could be either they're underwater looking to do a short sale, or the 3D death, divorce, and what's the third one?
Destruction?
Taxes.
Daxes with a D instead of D.
Stuff happens, as they say, using another term, and there's always there's always opportunities, because there are people and families who are in distress. Estate sales, people die and the beneficiaries want to sell the house. Oftentimes it's in rundown condition, and again, if you've got your foot in the door and you've been able to establish a relationship with those people, oftentimes you can get housing at a good discount. So anyway, there are opportunities to make money in real estate. You just have to dig a little deeper and try a little harder. It's not easy pickings anymore like it was 2 years ago.
Wow. Well, I want to thank my co-hosts yet again, Mark Hahn of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender, and Patti Cohen, the #1 agent in real estate
In the world.
In the world. There you go. I'm
All
the
right.
best. I'm the best.
Go
Okay.
49ers. We got opening season this weekend.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
So here's our thoughts for the day. At 120 miles per hour, a Formula One car generates so much downforce that it can drive upside down on the roof of a tunnel. I don't know if they've ever tried that.
Whoa.
But they're kind
Don't do this at all.
yeah, don't put on the brake either.
I saw that in Men in Black, isn't it?
Oh, maybe. I've seen it, I'm sure, on some kind of
Movies.
space movies or something. Okay. And this is a very important fact to know. All Major League Baseball umpires must wear black underwear while on the job. Now, who checks that stuff?
Exactly.
And then why do they need, I guess,
Why?
pink underwear would show through the black? I don't know. Anyway, supposedly it's very important. Tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown. We're wishing you the best of investing. So long.
All right. Awesome.
See, look at that, right?
Nice.
First.
Right to the beat.
Well, I'm sorry, but at least we got out of here pretty quick. Thank you.
Yeah.